Good morning, everybody. I'm interviewing Dr. Sabrina Solt today. We're going to talk about periods on carnivore, getting pregnant on carnivore, so carnivore stuff, and some fertility sprinkled in. Hello, Kiyoshi. Good morning. Let me invite Dr. Sabrina. Let's see. Okay, Dr. Solt. Give us 1 second. I'm getting better at Dr. Solt is in the house. Accept, go live. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Hi.
Hi.
Good morning. We finally did it.
I know, I'm so excited.
Me too. Me too. So, first of all, congratulations. You are pregnant.
I am, oh my gosh, this morning the bump like doubled in size. So I'm finally getting to wear these like maternity leggings that I found on Amazon. They didn't fit me yesterday. I tried, and today they're like, bam, we're here.
Wow. How further in? I don't know what the
Yeah,
question
I'm
is.
16 weeks.
16 weeks,
Yeah.
4 months.
Yep.
Love it. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about because I saw a post where you mentioned you haven't had a period for a while. And I know like
My,
for me, if that were to happen to me, I feel like that would really stress me out as much as I talk about the carnivore diet and everything. But like again, remember, I've been brainwashed for a very long time by the food industry and like my, traditional academic education. So I have those still thoughts and ideas, and so I want to see how you deal with it.
yeah.
Give us everything.
It's so interesting. I had periods throughout my life where like hormones were messed up, wasn't eating great, where like my period would kind of come and go. It was actually, so when I was in college, it was probably the most regular it ever was, and I was actually at my most unhealthiest. So it's very odd, right? I had gut issues, skin issues, a lot of anxiety. I would nap sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. It was rough. Going through med school, my period was a little bit weird because during that time I did 4 fitness competitions basically back to back. So I had that overtraining syndrome, and a lot of things were really messed up. By the time I was done that, my hormones were completely shot. I would go back and forth between estrogen dominance, progesterone dominance. It was a whole mess, and that kind of spawned my interest in hormone therapy because I had to figure out how to fix myself. And thankfully I did, and everything. That was great. But then, fast forward to the time in my life where it was time to start having kids and everything. And thankfully, my husband and I, we were able to get pregnant very easily. First time we actually got pregnant, I miscarried. And then we conceived my daughter kind of right after. So it happened pretty fast. And then what happened is that I actually don't get periods when I'm breastfeeding, which is normal for some women. That is a variation normal. Some people do. Some women do. Some women get their period back right away and they're still able to breastfeed. But the hormone that gets released during breastfeeding is something called prolactin, so it promotes lactation. And this will usually suppress your FSH and your estrogen and your progesterone, so that you're actually not going to be going through a regular cycle and ovulating, because Mother Nature thinks that when you're feeding a baby, you shouldn't be making a new one, right? So it makes complete sense. After I was finished breastfeeding my daughter, I had one period. It was like March 17th of 2020. Conceived my son right after that. Like I said, we've had no issues. And that was actually my last period, March 17th of 2020. I know this because I have it tracked in my Aura Ring stats. So conceived my
Wow.
son. He's just now over 2 years old. I stopped nursing him middle of November. And then I never even got a period. I went straight into ovulation and we conceived again. So
Wow.
it was this,
I see what happened because you were breastfeeding. It wasn't like so that's why. Because I feel
yeah,
like, wait a second, if I stopped getting a period for a year or two, that would just mess with my head so much. I would get so stressed out because I'm always, getting exposed to all this information. And, your period is a reflection of your health, all that stuff. Fertility is a reflection of your health. So, okay, I get it now. I feel a bit better.
yeah, I agree with you. I agree that like in proper circumstances, in normal circumstances, women should be having a regular cycle, and that if there's variations in that, there's likely something that needs to be looked at. But in my circumstance, the weird thing was that I didn't actually get a cycle before ovulating. And that's the part that was kind of a mystery to me, just simply because it didn't make any sense, right? Like, you're, based on what I understand about hormones, you're supposed to just go straight into it. So I don't know if this was like an act of God, whatever you want to believe in, act of the universe, like we were just meant to have this baby, because we really, not that we didn't want more children, we were just like, maybe not right now. So my whole plan was to have a cycle, track ovulation, because I don't want to be on birth control. You know, no shame to anybody who does take it. It's just not something that I want to do, because I've been on it in the past and it's not been my friend. We haven't agreed with each other.
Right. And maybe it just needed some time. You know, sometimes the body needs a little bit of, you know, maybe a month, 2, 3 months to kind of regulate and understand what's going on. But hey, you know, this is the carnivore diet should come with a disclaimer. You know, I had a menopausal woman literally come out of menopause. I mean, she had stopped getting her period for a while when she started working with me just for weight loss. So yeah, be careful out there, everybody.
It's so true. I've seen that too, where like that premature ovarian failure kind of resets itself, and women are able to get some fertility back, as long as they still have, you know, active follicles left. But it's crazy. It definitely is a very pro-fertility way of eating, that's for sure.
So, you know, you mentioned something about like for how long we can still conceive. Do you have any information or experience with regards to freezing eggs?
I don't. So that's not, it's interesting. Some of actually the new research coming out about ovarian failure and menopause actually says that if a woman maintains pretty much general health, that you can continue to make eggs. So this old belief that you're born with the number of eggs that you have, and that once you cycle through them, you're done, is no longer true. Like, we understand that women can actually continue to make eggs. So when I work with people with fertility, obviously diet has a lot to do with it. But one of the other things that I focus on, and I don't work with fertility primarily, it's not my specialty, but I have had women who have come to me for other issues and they end up getting pregnant because of some of the other things that we do. Right. But for me, the focus ends up being a lot on mitochondrial health, because what a lot of people don't know is that ovaries are actually the highest density of mitochondria in the human body. Second to that is the heart. So men, it's the heart. Women, we have our ovaries first, heart second. And when you actually do things to increase that mitochondrial health, you can increase better ovarian health, better hormone health, and of course, more active follicles in the ovaries as well.
Very interesting. And so do you think that we, or a woman, let's say on a carnivore diet, optimal health, all that kind of stuff works out? What would you say would be a good age that she could still, or the maximum age that she could still probably, you know, conceive naturally?
Oh gosh, well, so the traditional medical model will call you a geriatric pregnancy if you're over 35 and conceive, which I think is the most ridiculous, offensive, crazy thing. I think comfortably women could go 40, even 45, as long as they're in great shape, taking care of their mitochondria, taking care of their diet. Just really, and you know, the working out thing is kind of a double-edged sword, because you want to make sure that you're maintaining good health, good muscle mass, good bone density, but you don't want to be doing it so hard that you're increasing your cortisol and you're not supporting it with enough nutrition. So again, double-edged sword. We want it. It's like sweet spot. It's like Goldilocks zone for workouts for sure. Right.
Yeah. Probably you're not going to be in that optimal health we're talking about if you are working out to create a caloric deficit. You're working out and there's a caloric deficit. There's nothing wrong with that. I put all my clients on a workout regimen. I think it's absolutely necessary to heal the addiction part in the brain and all the benefits, right? But then, you know, that's probably not your best time to conceive. Although I have to say, I have a client who I've literally just been working with maybe like 1 month. And she had tried everything for fertility. Her cycle it was very, very light, almost non-existent, and she couldn't get pregnant. And literally 3 weeks on a carnivore diet, nothing but ribeyes. She was like, this is the first thing. She spent thousands of dollars on all these doctors. She was in Canada. This is the first time that she gets a real cycle in 3 weeks on a lion diet. And I'm like, wow, this stuff, it's like I have magic on my hands, with the carnivore diet. It's phenomenal. So, and we're putting her on a weight loss diet. Like she's dropping weight, because you lose the inflammation too from all the fat cells, right? And this is important for everybody to know that fat cells, they don't just sit there storing calories. They also actually release inflammatory molecules all the time. And so the less body fat on you, actually the healthier you're going to get. Yeah. So, yeah. I love what you said. Up until 45, you can still get pregnant. No need for IVF, none of that stuff, because women are getting more educated. They're becoming independent. They're not like, 18, 19, you know nothing about life. All of a sudden you're pregnant. It's like you're a child. How are you going to raise a child,
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's wonderful that we actually that we're honoring women and their ability to conceive and start families later in life, because you're coming into it with far more wisdom. I mean, who I am now as a mom going into this third baby versus who I was at the beginning, I'm like, who let me, who gave me permission? But it's, it's just crazy. Like you can show up better, I feel, at least for your family, when you've just acquired that life experience, and you really only get that with age generally.
Yes. I love everything that you stand for. I love everything that we always talk about. And that's why I wanted to have you for this other live. I have so many questions. So there are a few other off-topic things that I want to talk about. But before that, I want to make sure we kind of explore the whole fertility thing. Let's talk about what your diet is like right now, your exercise, all that stuff.
Yeah, so exercise is a shorter answer, and it's really first trimester I didn't do almost any exercise. I was exhausted. I just couldn't do it. Second trimester, I'm going when I can, which is usually 2 or 3 days a week, just because I'm at my office Monday through Thursday. So if I'm going to go, it's usually sometime Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'm just kind of working out for maintenance right now. I'm just trying not to lose any strength and muscle. Diet has been weird, to say the least. I had really, really bad meat aversion first trimester as well. I'm so grateful that I was able to be carnivore for almost a full year. And I basically pre-gamed with a ribeye every single day for a year to support this pregnancy going into it, because I could not do meat that first trimester. I was doing a lot of fish, sashimi. I did some chicken. I was doing a lot of dairy and eggs, and that's kind of what got me through. Second trimester has been a lot easier. Oh, and I should say I also used a lot of the Equip protein powders as well. I was making shakes with just the protein powder and either kefir or heavy cream, whatever we had in the house at the time. Second trimester has been a lot easier. I no longer have meat aversion. I can do a lot of ground beef. I'm still a little weird with steaks. They have to be cooked perfectly. They have to be perfect temperature. I can't have a leftover steak. It's really weird. Body's so weird when you're pregnant. You have no control over what it is. And then I've been a little more on the ketovore animal based. So I've been having a quarter of an avocado with bacon and eggs some days, just for that different flavor, because sometimes just too much animal flavors are hard for me to get down. It's so strange. And then it was interesting. We had 2 weeks, about a 2-week vacation where we were going through Istanbul and Egypt. And during that time, we had a 5-day cruise down the Nile just to see all the historical sites in Egypt.
Right. I was on the pictures.
Yeah, it was a great trip, honestly, but the food aspect of it sucked, because I was at the tail end of first trimester, so a lot of aversion, still not feeling super great. And the buffet, there was only one place to eat on the cruise ship, and it was just a buffet, and it was whatever they were feeding you. Pretty much all the meat options had strange sauces on it that I was very questionable about. They were definitely all cooked in seed oils. So I would they had these little full fat yogurts at breakfast that I would stash in my room. And then fruit was the only other safe thing. So I would eat some fruit then. And thankfully fruit doesn't bother me at all. So I was very lucky that I was able to at least choose that because the other options were terrible. So right now on a daily basis, I have bacon and eggs for breakfast usually. I've been doing ground beef usually for lunch. And then dinner kind of varies. Like last night we got like just some chicken and it was great. And yeah, it's just whatever I'm craving and or able to eat.
Was it a rotisserie chicken?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you look at the ingredients? This is something that I don't know if I'm like.
Yes, we do. We have a Sprouts near our house, and they have different like flavor options. There's one we were looking at yesterday, and actually carrageenan in it, which a lot of people might not know is actually something that can actually contribute to cancer. So we were like, definitely not that one. The one that we picked was just like lightly seasoned on the outside, no oils, nothing else. So really safe.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, see, I should probably do a better job researching. I haven't really, I bought a rotisserie maker in the house I made my hubby buy it for me. Like, I want it. So when he gets it for me, and then I never use it for like 2 years. And then the other day it fell and broke. So I have to go back and try to see if I can buy some around here. It's just the ones that we have in Publix, which is like a grocery store here in Florida in the South. It's got sugar. I know it's got sugar. It's got smoke flavoring. It's got all kinds of stuff. I'm scared of, I don't know. I don't want it to trigger cravings, you know?
Yeah, I get it for sure. I mean, we also see like the rotisserie chickens at Costco, and I know that those ones have like definitely questionable ingredients in them, and they're massive. So I'm like, there's a lot of hormone. Like, there's got to be something else happening with that chicken. Like that, it's a massive chicken, and the seasonings and stuff are insane.
Right.
But yeah, we really don't. I can't remember the last time we've had one. It's got to have been at least 6 months to a year because I didn't have almost any chicken at all that first year that I was straight carnivore. It was pretty much all red meat and some pork.
I wonder also when you said that you had aversions for a steak if it had a little bit of blood. I wonder how much like the body's trying to protect the newborn from any kind of food poisoning, wants to make sure everything is super well cooked, like overly cooked. It's just a hypothesis, I guess.
What's interesting is that I read a book called Dumping Iron, and in that book, the author actually shares that between weeks 3 and 8 of your first trimester, which is like when these aversions really kicked in for me, your iron absorption decreases by about 30%. And they cite a study where they postulate that excess iron in the first trimester can actually be teratogenic to the fetus, meaning it can cause birth defects. So I want to say that it's definitely an evolutionary preferred state. And then it got me really thinking about some of the other things that women experience in first trimester, like that, like just overall that morning sickness and that nausea. So, and some of them get it really, really severe. But what I kind of pieced together, and I don't know if this is true, this is just like my hypothesis, is so in first trimester or in any time really, if a woman is anemic or iron deficient and she takes iron on an empty stomach, you get really, really nauseous. So it's always recommended to, if you're going to supplement with iron, if you need that, to take it with food. We also know that when iron gets released into the system from storage, from the ferritin version to the iron version, it happens very heavily first thing in the morning. So I'm wondering, are these women waking up in this fasted state? The body's dumping this iron from their storage into their circulation, and now they're experiencing this nausea that lasts throughout the morning till it regulates because they're not meant to be reabsorbing this. But for some reason, those two processes just are disconnected. So anyway, I don't know for sure, but that's my new thought process, that it has more to do with iron than anything.
I love that. That's a great hypothesis. And I wonder also if the body kind of wants more fat than meat, with like more of the fatty portion of the meats to fuel this growing baby, and put some extra body fat on you as well. Interesting. I don't know if I ever asked you this the last time. Did you ever struggle with sugar addiction, food addiction, cravings, anything like that in the past?
Yes. So it's interesting. When I was going through, like, I did the fitness competitions, and then afterwards, when I was going through my hormonal issues, I would define it like the behavior was definitely binge eating, but part of me wonders, like, was it actually the binge eating disorder behavior, or was I just starving for so long that my body was trying to take in absolutely anything that it can very, very reasonably. And I went to that now because, you know, now I don't have any sort of those behaviors. I don't have any sort of those desires. I can take or leave sugar. I can take or leave pretty much anything. But at that point in my life, yes, I absolutely had a binging problem. I absolutely had a sugar problem. Like it was really bad.
Very interesting. Yeah, normally dieting will bring that out, especially if you weren't doing it on a carnivore plan, right?
Oh God, no. It was like asparagus and tilapia for weeks at a time. Like it was not healthy or sustainable or nutrient dense. And I think when you just put yourself into such a nutrient depleted state over time, your body wants to just take in energy in the form of fast sugar because that's all it's able to run on at that point.
Exactly, exactly. Okay. Keto rash. Did you ever get it? I've been you know, dealing with that with my clients, and I just want to kind of explore that. I don't think we've talked enough about it. Keto rash, when you have like bumps on your skin that are like red, and then sometimes there's like a tiny white dot in the middle or something. Yeah. Did you ever get it? Do you have experience with that or any info?
So those I've generally seen in people who have food intolerances. Most common ones that I'd see that in are eggs and dairy, which people usually do consume on keto. So I usually look there first before, you know, going any further. And sometimes you might just need a topical thing. Sometimes it could be those oxalate crystals that could be coming through, or just general toxin release as well from the system. Like the skin is a really, really great place for the body to release toxins from. That's why we use things like sauna and stuff and a lot of good detox protocols.
Yeah, yeah. Love it. Magic Cons is asking, why is the doctor on top making those weird faces? That's because I'm a very emotional person, so get used to it. Let's you know, I know, right? You know that I know. Thank you.
I'm feeling you with the weird faces.
We're starting to get the haters now. You know, I have to like start being careful because as you grow on social media, you have like kind of like hate follows or really your followers. They just want to see what you're doing. And we should probably learn how to block these people. I wonder how. Have you ever done that?
I have blocked a lot of followers, and I actually I turned off the ability for people to comment on my stuff that aren't following me, and that was like a really strong mental health move for myself because like I just don't need to see that. Like somebody else thinks of me is completely none of my business. It doesn't teach me anything about myself, so I would just rather not have to deal with it. So nobody can comment.
I should do. I block people left and right all the time, you know, especially, but, you know, not for any, like, if they're gonna come in and start a pester and bully people, I don't have a tolerance for that. Zero tolerance policy on YouTube and Instagram, you know?
I agree. And you know what I've realized too? The people on YouTube tend to be a little more aggressive in their rude comments because there's no profile for you to look at. Like, I feel like they just get to keep some like an additional level of anonymity. And I've only ever gotten those comments from people who have like the private profiles, like next to no following. Like I've never had shade thrown at me from somebody who's doing better than me on social media, ever.
It's so true. It's so true. It's always the person with like the 50 followers and it's private and it's like the picture is like a flower or, you know, you never even see who they are. That's hilarious. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk a little bit because I know that you have experience with all the fun stuff, the skin rejuvenation stuff that I love to talk about a lot. I bought recently a hyaluronic acid serum, and I've started doing that. What do you have information for me? Am I doing the right thing? Do you do it? Do you recommend it?
It can definitely be really helpful. I find that people get really good benefit when they do the hyaluronic acid serum with like one of those rollers, like a microneedling roller. You have one of those because actually what you're doing with the microneedling is you're causing these little micro channels and like a small amount of damage at the same time, that you're now encouraging your body to come and re-heal. And when you're putting the hyaluronic acid in there, it just enhances that like plumpness, because your skin's gonna actually take that up. It can also increase collagen production too. So really, yeah, really good stuff. I'm not doing it right now. I'm not doing any microneedling or anything right now on myself, just because when you're in pregnancy, the propensity for your skin to create darker changes because of all the hormones that you have, it's just, I don't want to do it. I'd rather just leave things alone. We'll touch it later. Like, no rush.
I do have a dermabrasion machine that I should every time I remember, I'm like, I should use it more, because I really every time I use it, it just leaves my skin feeling so soft and clearer. I just need to develop that habit. Would that work too, the microdermabrasion, or is there a way to buy the microneedling tool for home use?
Actually, just get like these little roller tools that they will, I think they go to a depth of like anywhere from 0.5 to 1 millimeter, which is perfect for at-home use. You just want to make sure that you're being mindful about cleaning them afterwards with, you know, an alcohol swab or something, just so it's not picking up and holding on to any bacteria from your skin. And definitely using it on a clean face for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna look for that. And then, so that would be better, so that the serum would be absorbed in a better way. And the thing that I got, I really looked long and hard to make sure it didn't have a whole list of ingredients, because it seems like most products do. And the one that I got literally just hyaluronic acid and like a couple of things, which are very, not bad from what I know. So do I need an occlusive? They say you gotta get also an occlusive to kind of seal it in. But I put the sunscreen on top, and I know that's gonna trigger some people. I know. We're not talking about that right now. But do you think that would help for it to be absorbed?
Yeah, I generally just follow with like a regular moisturizer to lock everything in. If you have something that works for you, awesome. But yeah, I usually do like a wash, a serum, and then followed by a moisturizer.
Okay. Fantastic. So I'm glad that we're doing the same skincare routine. Do you do it also at night? Because they're saying that you're supposed to do it in the morning and at night, and that's when I put it.
I am terrible about my nighttime routine. At least right now I am, because I'm just so tired by the end of the day. Like last night, we literally went to bed at 7:30. And like, bless my husband, sometimes like the sexiest thing he says is, "Hey, you want to go to bed early?" And I'm like, "Yes, baby, let's." And we literally go to sleep. And it's so good. But yeah, sometimes I'm tired right now. Like I have so little energy by the end of the day. I can do like 2 things during the day, and then I'm just like pooped out on the couch, and it sucks, but it's fine. We go to bed early. So normally if I do have a nighttime routine, I actually like to use, right now I'm actually using a tallow, it's the Spearhead Soaps one, their tallow face mask, because it's nice and thick. And I was getting a lot of dry skin during this pregnancy, and I think because all my moisture was just going to amniotic fluid, and I was just losing a ton. So I like to do something thicker and more mask-like at night. If I'm going to get skin issues, it's going to be more on the dry end. It's just how my skin is.
Right. Yeah, I'm more on the oily end. I love that you mentioned Spearhead soaps. They actually sent me their stuff. I've been using them, and today I'm going to film a YouTube video on that. Yeah, so I'm going to link my code, it's a shameless plug, in the description box below, because I'm going to post this on YouTube. And I love everything. All the soaps that they have, the creams, the lotions, it's literally no preservatives, and it doesn't have the seed oils that would potentially irritate and oxidize your skin. And I love what we have 2 things that I wanted to mention. Rob is asking us, does collagen use help? Let's cover that first. What do you think? And what do you mean, Rob? Are you talking about like collagen supplements, or collagen infused personal care products?
Yeah, probably a little bit of both. I have seen some really great results in myself and patients when you're taking a high quality oral collagen supplement. And it matters too the type of collagen, right? So there's types, I think 1 through 5, and I do not remember off the top of my head right now which ones are good for what.
I know.
But some of them are better for joints. Yeah, some better for joints, some better for skin, some better for the inside of your digestive system, your gut lining. But I really do think that having a nice combination one, or at least getting one that you know is going to resonate with what your needs are, can produce pretty good symptoms, or not symptoms, can produce pretty good results. And it's certainly worth trying. Now, I do like to caution people that most of the time you don't want to use that as a replacement for your daily protein requirement, because collagen isn't a full protein. It's missing one of the amino acids that would make it a full protein. I forget which one it is.
Yeah.
Pregnancy brain, man, it's a real pregnancy brain is a real thing. Like sometimes I just can't pull things out. But so yeah, it is going to be missing one of the amino acids that make it a full protein. So it won't actually go towards your daily protein requirement. So don't cut that short. Use it as an additive thing. And things with topical collagen, I honestly don't know, because I don't know how big that molecule is compared to how the absorption takes place through the skin. I'm sure there's probably studies that we could dig up on actual absorption of that, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's hard to even absorb it. They have to break it up. It's a big protein. That's why when you think you're taking collagen, it's actually collagen peptides.
Yeah.
They literally have to break up that protein so that it can be absorbed via your digestive system. So I'm assuming the skin is even, harder to absorb it like that. So yeah, keep that in mind. And then Ayana says that my esthetician said I needed to use sunscreen because of my hyperpigmentation. So yeah, it is true that we tend to get, especially if you have a darker skin. Like I know my skin tone is more prone to hyperpigmentation. And it is true that it usually shows up when you don't use enough sunscreen all the time. It is true that sunlight does increase the chance, but it's also true that hormonal imbalances are very closely associated. I think it's called melasma, right? The hyperpigmentation. Yeah.
Yep, usually related to higher levels of progesterone.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, and heat getting, but I think it's more about hormonal thing. And I think the heat in the sun just kind of put that process in place, and we have to be more careful. Do you have any advice on hyperpigmentation? Anything we can do?
So there's like so many creams and stuff that can reduce that. And again, I'm blanking, but there is, what is it? I'm blanking on this. So there is a type of cream that usually has to be prescribed through a compounding pharmacy where they'll actually create it for you. But the topical use of it can reduce hyperpigmentation. I also think that retinol, if I'm not mistaken, can do that too. Of course, starting at a low dose, only doing it every few days or so, and definitely not doing it during pregnancy. Yeah, that can be helpful as well. And then another thing that I like to actually check in my patients that have a lot of skin issues is they're on labs, their omega-3 to omega-6 ratio index, because an imbalance in your fatty acids will actually change how your cell membrane, so that phospholipid bilayer, it can actually change how it behaves and the integrity of it. And obviously we should be tending more towards an omega-3 balance or higher on that end, because it's the preferred one. It's very anti-inflammatory. It's a better structure. But most of us came from a diet or still have a diet that's more predominantly high in omega-6s, and that can definitely cause some skin issues, more tendency to burn, more tendency to have age-related changes such as wrinkles, age spots, things like that.
Very interesting. Okay. Now that I've gotten into the hyaluronic acid serum thing and I've been reading about it, I realized that Restalyne, which is similar, so you've got Botox and you've got Restalyne. Those are like the two common injectables, right, for fine lines and wrinkles. And I realized, wait a second, Restalyne is basically just hyaluronic acid, which is what I'm putting on my skin. Mm-hmm. Do you offer that service? Can you share with us any information on that? And how is it different from Botox? I feel like, for me, I feel like maybe Restalyne might be something I'm more open to as opposed to, Botox, which is a neurotoxin. Just the idea that it's a neurotoxin kind of, scares me a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been trained in those, like the Botox and the fillers. I don't offer them in my practice just because it's not my zone of genius. If there's a way better people to go do those things, I can, but I just choose not to. And what's interesting, yeah, Botox is a neurotoxin. Some people can have really negative effects from taking it. It doesn't happen in everybody, but it is definitely a neurotoxin. The fillers like the Restalyne, the Juvederm, there's other brands that are out there. Yeah, they are just hyaluronic acid. Now, what's interesting is what sets them apart, I should say, is how they actually manufacture them and the density and the weight and the structuring of the hyaluronic acid. Because we also have, if people have ever received what they call like the rooster cone injections, and it'll be injections of hyaluronic acid into things like knees for osteoarthritis to increase that cushioning, right? So similar stuff, but the biggest difference, like you would never take the knee one and put it in someone's lips or cheeks just because the density of it is completely different. You're not going to get that natural look. But those injectable hyaluronic acids are used throughout medicine for various concerns, and they are generally safe. The only thing with the ones that go into the face is they usually contain a bit of lidocaine in them to make the injection more comfortable for people. But as long as you don't have any issues or allergies to that, it should be completely safe. And again, making sure you're going to a injector that has a ton of training, because if you're not injecting properly, the face is very highly vascularized. You do not want to be putting hyaluronic acid near any vessels that can cause a blockage, which, you know, they should have this stuff on hand to dissolve that if it does happen in the office, but that can actually cause necrosis of the skin wherever that blockage occurs.
Whoa, that's literal death of skin tissue.
Yes.
Oh, that's so scary. But I feel like those things are rare. I mean, everybody's doing it. I mean, and I know people in their 20s, they start doing it, you know?
Yeah, it is a rare complication, that's for sure. Again, as long as you have a trained injector, they should be able to handle that, manage that, do things correctly. The biggest thing to prevent that is when they actually go to inject, if they aspirate the needle, so pulling back on the plunger to see if they're in a vessel before they go to inject, that's kind of that step that ensures that extra level of safety.
Very interesting. And something that it's a hypothesis of mine, but I feel like, you know, with Botox, I feel like if it's a muscle relaxant, because remember, my training is also in exercise physiology. So my PhD is in exercise physiology and nutrition. So it's all about the muscles and strengthening the muscles and all that stuff. So if we're paralyzing a muscle, that's what I think about. Wouldn't it over time lose tone, muscle, like strength, you know, and then eventually it's like droopier, you know what I mean? So what do you think about my hypothesis? Yeah. And also, how would Restalyne compare to that, you know, if I would go with Restalyne instead?
Yeah, you're right. And they actually do say that Botox is really only good for like 10 to 20 years worth of use. That's why they say you should wait till you absolutely needed to start it, because of how it does reduce that muscle tone. Or, you know, take breaks, like maybe only do one round a year or something like that so that you can get back some of the muscle tone. But yes, you're right, it absolutely does that. And another study that I saw that was actually really interesting to me is that everything in the body is connected, right? Like we know that everything is connected, but it actually showed that sometimes doing Botox will decrease your hand coordination, how the small muscles in your hands work. So there's definitely other stuff going on when people choose to get that. And again, most of the time people are going to be fine. Like we were saying, complications are super, super rare, and it comes down to personal choice. Like what's your value system? What would you like to do? And, you know, that's fine for them. When it comes to deciding between Botox and filler, they do different things. So filler isn't going to necessarily get rid of wrinkles. Like you're not going to put filler in your forehead to smooth out wrinkles or anything like that. But like, so say somebody has like a really drooping smile line here or something like that. If you put filler in the cheeks, it can lift that up a little bit, which can help reduce some of that. But there's not like, there's different places that you would place it. So filler can go generally in the cheeks. You can use it to fill these lines. You can use it to fill lines down here. You can obviously use it to fill lips. Some people even put it in their nose to do like a nose job, so to speak. But then the Botox you would put at the forehead wrinkles, you would put near wrinkles around the eyes, wrinkles like right between the eyebrows, even wrinkles on the nose. So definitely different. Some people even do like a Botox lip flip for the upper lip, so it makes it pop up more.
Yeah, that's becoming very popular, that lip flip. Yeah, no, it makes you look like you have a bigger upper lip, which is kind of cool, actually. It really does fundamentally change your face, I think. So that's the thing is, there were websites that they were saying that even Restylane works for fine lines, which is why I got excited because I feel like psychologically I'd be more open to hyaluronic acid because it's already a natural substance. And the reason why everybody's so excited about hyaluronic acid is it binds what 1,000 times greater than water. And so it just keeps that hydration, you know?
Yep. Very hydrating, very plumping, and that's definitely a bonus for all of us. Like, I know you're in Florida, so you get access to the humidity, but like here in Arizona, it's so dry. Like I said, my skin always tends towards dryness. I have to work really, really hard to keep that maintained.
Gotcha. Okay. Are you gonna, or what are your kids eating right now? And are you gonna put your newborn on, after breastfeeding, I'm assuming, on a carnivore diet?
Yes. So our kids are basically animal-based, we'll call it that. They do have some fruit. Random times if they're like out other places, they'll have whatever's being served. Like we don't restrict them like that. Like we don't have hard rules. We just, our hard rule is meat first. So if you have a plate of something, if you're going to go eat something, like you should eat your meat first. But they're the same as me, usually bacon and eggs for breakfast. My daughter's like really obsessed with this bowl right now that I make her with like scrambled eggs, goat cheese, and a little bit of avocado, and she just goes nuts for that. My son is really into scrambled eggs right now, but he's also liking some sugar-free ketchup on top. So I'm like, all right, it's fine. Like whatever's gonna eat, you're gonna eat. He's 2. Like
Yeah.
we'll let it slide. Lunches is usually like whatever my husband's already making or whatever they're eating. So they'll like grill a steak or they'll have some ground beef. And then dinner, same whatever we're having as a family, they eat with us. So last night they had some chicken as well, and they loved it. Like they were just like pulling it off the rotisserie chicken, which is pretty cool. And the next baby, yeah, we're definitely gonna do like the animal based way of eating for sure. Because I mean, my son, he's stopped breastfeeding around the time that my husband and I were both going into this. So he really was raised, I should say, as animal based or mostly carnivore. I had to show you a picture of this kid's teeth. He has the most perfect teeth. He has this massive head. And I think if I remember, I thought Dr. Chapey said something about like kids that are raised this way do have, like they have bigger heads, they have better teeth. And I'm like, I saw this happen in my child, like in real life. And my daughter doesn't have that. She doesn't have perfect teeth. I mean, her size is pretty normal. She's actually fairly petite for her age. But he's like, and if you pick him up, he's just like dense. Like he is stacked as a child. Like he is way heavier than he looks. So it's really cool to kind of see that difference in real life and just see how healthy he is.
That's amazing. And do you notice any early signs of sugar addiction when they're at a birthday a birthday party and have a cake or something? Do you notice any of this stuff?
Yeah, my daughter is definitely a sugar addict because she experienced all the different types of food that we would eat beforehand. So, you know, they never miss an opportunity to get a lollipop or to like have something sweet. I mean, we're taking them to church later today and they always have like kids snacks. And when we try to like drop them off at the kids' place, we will try to get them to grab like an orange or piece of fruit first because they at least have that. But like they will see the donuts, they will see the cookies, they will see the Oreos. And of course they'll want that. Like they're kids, you know. But so
once they have the drug, that's the hardest part. It's actually way harder, you know. It's much easier to raise sugar-free kids because if they've never had the drug, so seeing a donut is not a trigger for them, right? And their prefrontal cortex, where you have the beta willpower, it hasn't even developed. I mean, it doesn't stop developing until you're 25. So you literally have no chance as a kid if you've already, unfortunately, ingested the drug, you know?
Yeah, our son's a little bit different actually because he was raised mostly carnivore. Like I've actually seen this kid spit out fruit in preference for meat. The other day, he was like, somebody gave him a piece of cucumber to try. he spit it out, went for the meat. Like he actually does have a palate that prefers animal-based, like carnivore, but she doesn't. So it's, again, it's so interesting to see. Like he will go to town on a bowl of ground beef, go to town on some eggs, and like he definitely does prefer that.
Love it. Okay, last question. I love your relationship with your hubby, and I love the Instagram that he has. His posts are always, always fire. I find myself like when I go there, it's like I can't stop re-sharing because it's like the same kind of, I guess, sense of humor that we have, like the sarcasm, you know? So, is he doing right now? So you're mainly working, right,
Yeah.
full time. Then he's also doing social media and helping you with that as well.
Yeah, so he works from home, so he helps with our other business where we have our oyster supplement. He does some coaching, and then yeah, he supports a lot of my work behind the scenes as well too. And he's like the best stay-at-home dad ever. Like he's so good. Like he cooks, he cleans, he takes care of the kids, and he just like runs the house so seamlessly. It's the best
Takes
thing
the
ever.
best pictures of you and shares them. Like I love it. I love that so much. What is his Instagram handle so that people can follow him as well? Can you share that with
Yeah.
us?
Let me type it actually. It's at Carnivore Z. Um, so let me put that. Let me
Yeah,
tag him.
that's Carnivore. See, literally like Carnivore, Carnivous, letter Z. Yep. And what else? I think yeah, I think that's a good little overview of all the questions I wanted to throw at you today. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. Hopefully we'll do a lot more IG lives in the future. I will make sure that I post this on my YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that little notification bell icon so YouTube alerts you every time I post a new video. But before that, where can people find you and connect with you? So you can also link them in the description box below.
Yeah, so I'm most active on Instagram. I'm just at Dr. Solt on here. My husband and I do actually have a YouTube channel where we do videos together. Sometimes he'll do some solo stuff. We're Carnivore H3 on YouTube. My business website is stemcelltherapypro.com, and that's, you know, my clinical space where I do regenerative and anti-aging medicine. And I think that's pretty much, oh, we have our Carnivore Facebook group. It's Carnivore, Harder, Happier, Healthier. Free group, almost 4,000 people in there. A lot of really great support if you're new to carnivore or just like want to actually be in there to help other people. Kindness is our first rule. We don't shame anybody. We don't berate anybody. We meet people where they're at on their journey and we help them along with whatever they need at the time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Solt, and thank you everybody for sticking with us, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was so great talking with you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.